Nature versus nurture is an important question in developmental science because one would like to understand which of the two has a bigger role in the changes we experience through our lifespans and help us understand why we are the way that we are. I personally believe nurture influences development more than nature because nature, our genetic material, is like tools. They cannot really do much by it on its own, and nurture is more like the setting and life itself. For example, in cognitive and language development, nurture is more evident because, for example, in educational TV programming like Sesame Street, it has been highly associated with higher cognitive abilities when compared to infants whose parents had the TV on with their own TV shows. Although our genetic makeup greatly affects our cognitive development, having no nurture, in this case educational TV programming or stimulus, would result in higher damage to cognitive development. This is actually what orphans in Romania suffered when their caregivers provided almost no stimulus. Another example, as far as language development, is that I thought it was very impressive how the nurturing of talking to babies when they're even in the womb enhances the language identification later when born. Again, also, the child is probably designed to have genes that affects the language, but without the stimulation, nothing would occur. In social emotional development, I think a lot of evidence shows that nurture is more important here than nature because it takes a lot of parental guidance and nurturing to create well-adjusted children in the world. For example, the way a parent disciplines can affect the bonding between the child and the caregiver and how adjusted they are going to be later in life. The warmth, confrontive aspects of authoritative style promotes cognitive, emotional, and social competence. Another example is how parents have influences on early peer relationships. They can directly influence peer social ability by arranging playdates and showing them how to act around other kids, making them more comfortable in confrontation and peer acceptance. Parents can also indirectly influence peer sociability by having secure attachments. So when a parent and child play, parents interact with their child kind of on an even playing field as their peers would. So if they are having a good time, more than likely this is how children will interact with their peers. In physical and motor development, our genes have a lot to do with how we grow as children, but nurture also can impact how children grow. For example, dwarfism can be caused in children who are exposed to stress as it affects the growth hormone, stunting children's growth. So in this case, nurture overcomes the power of nature in children if children are exposed to high stress in the home. Another example is nutrition. A child depends greatly on its parents for food, and parents even influence what a child eats. Based on the faces that parents make or how often they eat those foods, the child will notice their faces and eat whatever their parents will eat as well. Although it is natural for children to want sweet foods when young, but parents have the influence over children to eat different foods. So as you can see, there are more compelling evidence that nurture is far more influential on a child's development because although nature provides the tools, if you do not use them or nurture them into something, then those tools would be useless.